It's getting better. All right, my friends, so here we go. Lovely and Lasting card class tonight. We are making 3 cards featuring the Lovely and Lasting bundle and the coordinating paper that goes along with this. As I mentioned, it's in the annual catalog. This paper, I think it's called Lovely Linen. So it's got some very old world traditional patterns. I think they're quite pretty, the geometrics on them. One side is a little bit more busy than the other. What I love about it is when you flip the paper over. So let me do that. We have some more subtle graphics on the back in solid colors, so perfect for doing tone on tone. Interesting about this suite, it includes in colors from 2 years. So the 2021-23 in colors, it is including the Evening Evergreen, the Soft Succulent, and the Pale Papaya. So these 3 colors, which will be on their way out at the end of this catalog. And it also includes the Sweet Sorbet from the 22-24 in colors. So it's kind of a mix. The other neutral in here is the Knighted Navy. So really pretty papers. I had trouble on a couple of my cards deciding which side I was going to use. I even went in for some consultations. So we'll see what you think. All right, so I am going to be, let's see, starting with the first card, which is my challenge card for me, is the simple stamping. This is a great example of simple stamping because it is just stamps, paper, and ink, and some little embellishments. So this is great if you are just starting off crafting and you don't have a lot of the tools or a lot of supplies yet. This requires pretty much just the basics. I'm going to start off by showing you the papers that we're using. It's got a card base of Knighted Navy, and this is a standard card size, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. I have a sheet of, a rectangle of basic white. This one measures, I believe it's 3 1/4. Let me see if I can find my measuring tool. Let's see, I'm going to measure 3 inches by 4 1/4. I have 1-inch strips of the pattern paper, and I've got that pretty tone-on-tone navy paper. On the flip side is that pretty floral. I'm going to be using the navy. And then I just need a label, which is about a 5/8 inch strip by maybe 3 inches, and a little scrap for stamping. So let's get started. We are going to do our stamping. And as I mentioned, this is a photopolymer stamp set. So I'm going to grab my piercing mat to stamp on that. I'm going to be stamping my label and also on my scrap. So let's give it a go. These are the colors for this card, Night of Navy and Mango Melody. I'm going to do my stamping in Night of Navy, that huge flower. It is a big image, so I like to flip my stamp over, and I'm going to ink up upside down, I guess. And I just inked up my Night of Navy. Might be a little bit juicy. Hopefully it's okay. Let's see. And I'm going to, stamp right in, almost in the center, pressing firmly. And let's see. Nice. All right. I am going to be cleaning my stamp up. This stamp is going to be used, I believe, on all the cards. So let me clean that up, and I'm looking for my chamois. I thought I had it in position here. Let me grab that. And I'm going to do my cleaning right as I work, which is most unusual for me. Thank you, Corinne. So how many of you clean as you go? I I'm a bad stamper. I'm a messy stamper. Sometimes I don't clean my stamps right away. I'm embarrassed to say. I just feel like I get so busy and the cleaning gets away from me, and then I regret it, of course. And I'm also messy on the floor. So, all right, my greeting is going to be the "Oh Hello," very simple greeting, and it's on just a snip of basic white. And it's probably a little bit longer than it needs to be right now. I'll be snipping it down, just stamping right in the middle. As I said, it's about 5/8 of an inch wide. And I'm going to do a little bit of the splatter. This is one of the little splatter stamps in the stamp set. And I'm just going to splatter kind of randomly. I think they're pretty sweet little spots. And it's monochromatic for this card. And I am going to do a little bit of fussy cutting. So there's that noun probably not a lot of people like. And I'm going to, if you can see my card, I just pulled out the flower centers and I'm stamping in Mango Melody. So I'm going to use my ink pad, and to pull the color off, I'm going to use a dauber. So I'm going to come in and I'm just going to dauber up the centers here. That's all I want, is the center of the flower. I will fussy cut, and then I'm going to be popping it up on Stampin' Dimensionals. So I'm just taking a 1-inch scrap. I'm going to stamp down right in here, and I'm just kind of rubbing, trying to keep my fingers out of the rest of the image so that I don't get inky. And let's have a look. And that should do. All I want is that flower center. So at this point, again, I'm going to clean, right? I'm going to keep that stamp clean tonight so I don't goof. Seems pretty clean. And I'm going to bring in my paper snips, and the rest is pretty simple, and I did a pretty easy cut. I really didn't go deep down into the crevices, just a quick shaping around those petals. And this is the second color on the card. It's the color that's going to pop because the rest of the card is in the navy tones. And I'm just going to shape that. This stamp set has no dies that outline cut or detail cut, so we are just going to add a little bit of dimension with this layer. So this stamp set, the images kind of remind me of a little Dutch scene. The flowers seems like a Dutch style, and then the patterns on the paper seem, like I said, it's almost like an old world pattern. Those graphic patterns, kind of detailed, really pretty colors, contrast of dark and some subtle. All right, so there are my flower centers. And I'm going to do myself a favor and attach them right away using dimensionals. That way I don't lose those little tiny flower centers. And then I do want to have it the right rotation. So I'm going to bring this around and hopefully get this right. Coming down here. And I'm just looking for the boldest little petals in here to get it on right. So pretty simple. There is my focal point and my greeting. And let's see, I'm going to cut that. And just to ensure that I'm cutting straight, I've got my paper trimmer here. I'm going to bring it down to, I think it's about 2 inches. There. And this too is going to be popped up with dimensionals. to the right. There we go. All right, so then I'm ready to create my background on my Night of Navy card base. And I'm gonna go ahead and fold and burnish, get that nice fold. So this is a card, you don't need any dies, and that means you don't have to have a cut and emboss machine. It's as simple as just the basic tools, your trimmer, snips, bone folder. These are going to come on flat. So let's see, I'm going to apply, today I'm going to use my seal, and I want to say, let's see, that they are, let's see, I'm just going to try and get them in there almost the same place. It's no card is ever going to be exact. I'm just going to try and use my original as a guideline. I do want to try and make this a little bit straight. I'm not going for wonky on this one. There's one strip. So just a little suggestion of the tone-on-tone pattern peeking through the main image. There. And then my focal point is attached with dimensionals. And I think, let's see, I've got some, I was looking for my standard size. I don't see any standard size around here. I'm going to go ahead and use my dark, which are kind of cool. I do have a navy background, so the black dimensionals are appropriate. Right through here. So simple stamping is kind of hard to do, but it's great to do. You can do quick cards, and I like the simplicity of it. It's kind of like a bolder statement that way. I'm just going to pretty much center this there. I'm going to bring in my greeting, oh hello, which I think is pretty sweet. It goes off to the side here, and there we go. Not quite done yet. I'm going to add my embellishments. For this set, I am using the solid faceted gems, and there are some really pretty colors on here. I think it's a nice selection for this paper stack. I'm going to come in and I'm going to get these here. I'm not sure what color they're supposed to be. I could look it up. I'm going to use 2 small on the little flowers, right in the flower center. So I'm using the smaller ones. And then, because I like to work in 3s, I'm going to pick up one of the bigger ones here and just put it right on my label. And that's a little bit closer somehow. Don't know how that happened. I'm going to bring it down a little bit lower. All right, so there's card number 1, Oh Hello, using the Lovely and Lasting stamp set. Simple stamping. Everything that was cut with the trimmer or the hand snip, the paper snips. Just some stamps, paper, ink, and a few embellishments. So there's my Oh Hello simple stamping card, card number 1. All right, so there we go. Let me clean up just a little bit. See what I've got here. And I'm going to do my second card. Let's see. So this card features the paper, and what I've done is create the, let's see, stack and shuffle technique with the paper, and I'll show you how I cut them. The thing is, and because I'm using, I'll explain as I go. So essentially you need 3 sheets of paper, and I chose, of course, 3 different patterns of the linen paper. And to show you how I cut, I've taken 3 pieces of just bond paper in 3 different colors. They measure 4 inches by 5 1/4. I'm going to show you how I cut them. Let me get my ink out of the way before I get inky. All right, so then I'm going to use my paper trimmer, and come in and cut this, and I'll show you how you get 3 cards from the 3 sheets of pattern paper. Try not to lose anything yet. All right, so what we're going to do is stack them. I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer, and I'm going to make sure that they stay nice and aligned and stacked. And my first cut, I'm going to bring it from the top diagonal, from the top corner, put it right on the track. And I like to put this tip on the 3-inch line. So, and you could vary it however you like. I just know if I cut multiples, if I keep the same measurements, I can switch up or shuffle the papers to my delight. So I've got the upper right corner on the cutting track and the upper left on the 3-inch measuring line. So I'm going to bring in my cutting blade and just slice that right up. And I'm going to push those aside. I'm going to bring in the other one that has the largest area of paper. And this time I am going to be cutting, let's see, from the lower left, I'm going to make a cut to about 2 inches. So I'm looking at the lower right on the 2-inch mark, and the left goes right on the track. So right like so. So let's see if I can push this up. Lower right on the track, lower left on the 2-inch mark. Hopefully I said that right. All right, here we go. I'm going to cut. So we stack them. Now here's the shuffle. And so you're going to see I'm going to be able to get 3 cards from that stack. So let me just shuffle this over, shuffle this down. Let's see if I can bring it in a little bit more. And I've got one here. This one will come down right in here. This one can, let's see, come over this way. And then finally, I need that bigger piece. So I'm going to get a clipping there, whoops, there, and there. Okay, so let's see if I can show you. I've got 3 different cards here, right like so. There's one card. Here's my second card. And the third right here. All right, so there's the stack and shuffle. Of course, I'm using pattern paper, and the cool thing is we're going to make 3 cards at once. And let's see, you can do them in different shapes. You don't have to use the measurements that I gave you. You can eyeball it. This is the same sort of technique. I've seen many people do it with rectangles. So doing the triangles mixes it up just a little bit, gives it a little bit more variation. But there you go. That's how I got my 3 pattern papers. So I'm going to pull these away now that I showed you how I cut these. And I'm going to bring in my model card here. And then I will bring in my card base, which is soft succulent, and it's standard card size again. I have a layer for matting. This one measures 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then I have my pattern papers. And notice how they're going to be a little bit different. Same shapes, but they're in different positions, right? I had to shuffle them around. So here's my second card. There is an option. If you don't want to mat it, you don't have to. You could mat directly to the card base. I like the little just hint of color, the bold contrasting color that comes from the mat. So that's what I like to do, is put it on a mat. Plus it's a little bit easier to keep it aligned. So there's my card base. I'm going to go ahead and flat adhere my pieces. This time I'm going to use my favorite and just apply a little trail of glue. I don't want it oozing out. I am going to have the slightest border. Remember, my pattern paper measured 4 by 5 1/4. My matting layer measures 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So we are getting into a trickier measurement with the eighths, but I think it's easy enough to manage. So I'm just going to mat this down. This is a great template to mass produce cards. You can see how easy it is to prep for 3 cards. And I'm going to abut the papers together. There's no space between the triangles, only along the border, if that makes sense. So this is abutted right to the pattern, but I do have about a 1/16 of an inch border coming all around. So one last piece on my background. So this is great when you have all those pattern papers that you want to show off. You can't decide which sheet you want to use. You can use several of them. All right, so here's my background. I'm going to go ahead and mat it onto my card base. It is flat adhered. So let's see. These colors are very calming. I love the soft succulent and the evening evergreen. I will be sad to see these 2 greens go. They will be gone, so if you don't have your refills yet, I think you can still order it. I think they're still available. There we go. So there is my card base with the background. And we're ready to stamp. I'm going to bring in a scrap of basic white for stamping my label. Oh dear, let's find my label. It's not in the basket. Okay, so the colors on this card are Sweet Sorbet and Evening Evergreen. I am going to be stamping on my basic white. I do need my piercing mat, so let me bring that in. And let's see if I can move that over. This will go here. Actually, let's put it here. And the label itself, the outline, is stamped in Sweet Sorbet. It has a nice little frame, and then it's got the little dots inside as well. Sweet and simple. There we go. There's my label. Let's see next. Oh, I know what I did. I switched up my baskets is what happened. This is the thank you. And the thank you is stamped in Evening Evergreen. Oops, it just happened. Let me get that ink off of my hands. Better fingers tonight. All right, my thank you is stamped off to the right. That gives me space to put my little embellishment flower here on the label. So I'm going to stamp closer to the right. There. And I'm going to go ahead and punch with the coordinating punch. Flip that over. Bring this in. There we go. I still need that scrap. There's my label, and I'm going to stamp that flower. And let's see, this is the smaller flower that's on our main stamp. So what I'm going to do is ink up with the Sweet Sorbet, and I only need the smaller flower, so I'm just going to ink up that portion of the stamp. And I'm going to wipe off the little leaves that are, everything is on one stamp here, so I'm going to wipe that down. I want green leaves and a green stem. So what I'm going to do, let's see if I've got most of that color off. I'm just using a baby wipe. My baby wipe is kind of dry, it doesn't matter, just to get that ink off. Then I'm going to bring back in my Evening Evergreen, and I'm using a dauber to come in and put my green color onto my leaves and my stem. So that way I can get 2 colors on the one stamp. There we go. And I'm going to stamp down onto my piece of paper, and I am going to put a piece of scrap underneath. That's going to go right down in here. And there we go, nice cute little flower. You know what, I think, let's see if I have those around. What I want to do, if I can find them, I had them here a second ago. I'm looking around for my ink or my Stampin' Right markers. I'm going to grab my, whoa, oh my goodness, look at this. What happened here? I better wipe my hands. Yikes, I didn't realize my ink pad was so juicy. And I'm stamping on white, getting very messy. All right, let's see if I got most of that ink color off. What a mess. It's too funny. There we go. Green hands. All right, let's see. All right, now I have my, oops, let me wipe that down. This is where it started. All right, I'm gonna grab my Sweet Sorbet. Let's see if this will clean it up. My little flower has some missing ink in here. Let's see if I can pounce some color in here. Just fill in the color. And it's gonna be okay. There we go. This is gonna be hand snipped, and I'm just doing a quick, just like I did with that layer, I'm doing a quick outline. Not too fussy, but still. I love the style of this art. It's kind of folksy. And the one image just can go far. There are some coordinating images that I'm not even using on this card class. I'll show you the other stamps that are included that would add some great elements to your cards as well, or scrapbook pages, or 3D projects. So super cute set. The suite does include an embossing folder, and the embossing folder is quite lovely. It has been unorderable for quite some time. Right now I'm not sure if it's unorderable or on low inventory, so I have a feeling it's on low inventory right now. Of course, the color, some of the colors are definitely going out at the end of the month, or yeah, the end of April. Well, let's see. I think the final day to order from this catalog, I believe, is May 3rd. However, colors and refills no doubt go fast. So if you need your refills on that evening evergreen or soft succulent, now's the time. All right, so let me bring this in. I'm ready to add my layers. The cute little thank you label is going to be popped up with dimensionals as well. So let's see. And I know why I couldn't find my dimensionals. I'm using the border of my pack. Right in here. Like here, and I'm going to put it pretty far up. And the little flower is going to go right atop there. I need a dimensional off to the left. And let's see, I think I need a smaller piece right underneath the leaf here. What do you think? Do you like the stack and shuffle technique? As I said, I've seen quite a few ways to cut the paper. Lots of rectangles. The triangles are nice. And I do have a pre-made bow. This time I'm using a soft succulent bow. I'm going to put it right down here, and I do like to attach my bow with maybe a couple of mini glue dots. So the ribbon that I'm using, the soft succulent, this will be gone at the end of this catalog, as will the other paper, or sorry, the other ribbon that I use, the Evening Evergreen. I'm going to go ahead and snip that down just a little bit using my Big Job ribbon scissors. These are huge. All right. There we go. And we're not quite done yet. Let's see if well, I am looking for my embellishments. Here we go. And this time I'm going to use, I think, the darker Evening Evergreen embellishments. And again, I'm going to use a couple of smaller ones. Flower center, and one towards the top, and then a larger one off to the side. There we go. There is my stack and shuffle. Thank you. Using the pattern paper, and as I said, with the stack and shuffle, you're going to get 3 cards that are similar but not exact, because your paper is going to vary on that. So super fun technique, a great way to show off all of your paper, a great way to use your designer series paper, so don't be afraid to cut it. Thank you, Corinne. I think it's a nice thank you card, quick and easy too. As I said, you can make 3 at a time. And the last one, my last lovely and lasting, is a little bit more advanced, and it is a fun fold. It's the overlapping fun fold, and I've got several things going on here. So I'm going to be doing some heat embossing. I am using the dies that are on the online exclusives. You're going to see a tiny bit peeking through here, a tiny bit peeking through on the inside. And let me share these with you. So if you haven't had a look on the website, these are the Elegant Borders dies. Here's what they look like in the packet. And here's how they cut. So we've got that beautiful edgelet, and you could do this on the edge of your card because you've got one edge that cuts and then the other detail that stays attached. So you could cut your paper as wide as you like on all of these. So you've got another edgelet here with the swirls, and this is the one I've used on the card here. As again, I'm just peeking the tiniest bit through like a little slip, and then on the inside I've got the full detail showing. We have an elegant swirl and leaf, and then I love this one too, the dainty design, just a few dashes and some swirls there. And again, you could make that as wide as you like. They're cutting very nicely, so they're not difficult at all to cut. You'll see, I'm sharing with you how I cut them. And so the heat embossing technique, the die cutting technique, a fun fold makes it a little bit stepped up. Still a very simple card to make, however. And let's get started. Let me get my inks out of the way here. Do need that. And okay, here's what I'm using on this card. Trying to get my things out of the way so they don't get lost, always, all day long. All right, here we go. So this fun fold starts with the card base. that measures 5.5 by 7.25, and then I've scored it at 4.25. So this is going to be folded and burnished right through like this. All right, the short end is to the left. So there's one piece. I've got a second piece of the same cardstock. This cardstock measures 4.25 by 3.75, and I've scored it at 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to fold that down. I also have the inside layer, which measures 4 inches by 5.25. I have a piece of DSP that measures 5.25 by, let's see, I want to say 2.75. Let me verify. 2.75. And I have a second DSP that measures 3 inches by 4 inches. Let me confirm. Yes, this is the one we're going to be stamping on. I've got also a piece of scrap. So let's get started. Let's start off with our die cutting so we can kind of assemble part of the card. And let's see if I get some things out of the way. I'm going to need my die and that beautiful swirled die. Because of the width of the cardstock, I do need the standard size cut and emboss machine, and hopefully I can fit this under camera. It's kind of tight today. There we go. And let's see here. The sandwich is the platform. So 1, the shim 2, a standard cutting pad 3. All right. Thank you, Corinne. I know I'm on really late tonight. Thank you for joining me at the start. Have a great St. Patty's Day weekend. All right. So here we go. I am going to put my die down. Now, 2 ways to put this die. I am going for the wider scallops on the edge. So those multiple scallops are going to go to the inside layer. And I do want this to stay in place as I guide it through the machine. So I've got a piece of Post-it note tape to hold that down in position. I need my die on the top, right through here. All right, so you know if you have to leave early, you can always catch the replay, or you can skip over to the YouTube channel, Just Stamp with Anna Marie. I upload the videos there. Usually it's the next day, but you can catch the snipped version and still catch all the supplies, the measurements, the step-by-step without missing anything. All right, there we go. So there is my inside layer. And let's see. Okay, let's do some assembly here. This is going to go to the side. The first thing I'm going to do, and it is kind of critical to do this in the right sequence. All right, I am on later today. Sorry about that. All right. So welcome in, Susan. Here we go. We are on our final card. It's a stepped up card. Let's see if I've got my completed card. It is a fun fold, a fold over fun fold with heat embossing. Right now we're putting our inside layer together with the fold. So I've got my inside layer with that beautiful edgelet to the left. I'm going to bring in my evening evergreen. This one measured 4.25 by 3.75. I scored it at 3.25, and this is going to be attached behind the inside layer. So I am going to just put a little bit of glue here. This fold overlapping fold is one of my favorites. I love this. It showcases a couple of the pattern papers, which is super cool. All right, so here we go. Now I'm ready to attach this to the inside layer here. And so far it's all flat adhesive. Yes, Susan, absolutely. You can catch the previous cards. If you happen to come in late, you can catch the previous cards on the replay or catch the YouTube over at Just Stamp with Anna Marie. That way you don't miss any of the cards or the step-by-step instructions. All right, so there's my inside layer. And you can see the card base has already come together. We are going to add our left panel. So I've got that pretty paper. And here's one that I mentioned. It's hard to choose. This paper is really beautiful. This old world folksy kind of pattern. I love the tone on tone of the evening evergreen, but I also like the flip side with the beautiful tiles and the multicolors in it. So you could go either way. I think both sides would be just as beautiful. What do you think? I kind of went with the tone on tone. You'll remember if you started watching at the first, I have a tone on tone with the blue, so I've got a tone on tone with the evening evergreen as well. Hello, Debbie Pence, thank you. All right, so I'm going to opt for, I still like the tone on tone with the evening evergreen, but it I'm almost reluctant to put the glue on this side because this is such a beautiful pattern as well. The colors are just calming and very charming. So now I am going to attach, having said that, I'm going to attach my elegant die to the left, and I'm looking around. Let me see if I can find my silicone mat. And when I'm adhering through die cuts, like the detailed die cuts, I like to have that silicone mat down because that way any adhesive will go onto the mat as opposed to my paper. It just makes it a little bit tidier, not as messy. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm just letting a slip of that die cut peek through, just the tiniest amount. I am showing off the entirety of the die on the inside, so you still get to see it. This way it's just kind of peeking through, and because I've layered before I've attached to the card base, I have the chance, I don't know if you can see it, I've got a little bit of white peeking through. I'm going to snip that down, trim it right up. All right, now I'm ready to layer this on to my card base. Move that silicone mat. This comes right over here. Put that right into position here. There we go. Okay, we are ready to stamp. That's going to dry. And we are heat embossing our focal point art. There, let's see, I need my piercing mat. I need Versamark because we're heat embossing, and I need that beautiful stamp. And just to make sure that I did clean that, let me grab my chamois and clean it off now. All right, I am going to be stamping with Versamark. I flipped over my huge stamp, inking up. When the image is big, I like to flip over the stamp and apply the ink from the top. All right, and let's see if I can bring this in. Stamping down. When you have a big image, you need to make sure you have contact all the way around. All right, there's that, and I'm going to cover that up. Bring in my white embossing powder. And let's see, I can't see anything yet. When I put my powder on, I will be able to see my image. And I think there are some areas that need a little bit more powder. There we go. And then just tap off the excess. All right. Now, this is a good chance to see that I have powder all the way around. This is a very solid image, so a little bit harder to ink up and make sure we've got good coverage here. I'm going to heat set it, so it takes just a minute. And I love the way the white looks on the evening evergreen. Now, mind you, if you're going to stamp directly onto pattern paper, you want to make sure you've got a dark background. The white would not show up on the pale papaya very well. Maybe on the sweet sorbet it would. Or of course on the navy. And I can already see it melting here. It just takes a little bit of time. The gun needs to warm up. So. Ready to go. So let's see if I can bring back in my card and my reference card as well. All right, we're going to attach this to the card front, and it is flat adhesive again. There we go. Oh, let's do it this way. So I'm going to have about 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. And love that my Tombow liquid glue lets me make the adjustments as needed. And just pull that straight down. There we go. And let me burnish that down. All right, we are going to do a little bit of detail stamping. I have white scrap. I have my evening evergreen and my Pierce mat. This is going to be a happy birthday card. Very simple in evening evergreen. All right, and at the same time, let's see, I'm going to add a couple of little posies to the inside layer. If you have some kind of a birthday greeting, you could stamp in here. This stamp set, and I'll show you the stamp set in just a second. There we go, down, up at the top, and then down at the bottom. I am going to avoid stamping in the upper and lower area on the right side, because you'll see when I close my card, that area remains exposed. Now, if you want it to peek through, that's fine. My preference is for it to be nice and clean, so I'm not going to stamp anything in those areas. There we go. And I am going to punch the oval. Happy birthday. And I'm using the double oval punch. And I'm just doing very simple, the clean oval. No scallop. I like the simplicity of the white oval without any complicated detailing. So I'm going to put that up on dimensionals. Let's see if I can pull off a couple little snips. And I'm going to avoid putting any adhesive on the far left. It's going to be hanging over this overlapping flap. So right in here, oops. And it's just barely going to hang over. A little bit lower here. Almost done. I am going to add some embellishments. So, and just kind of burnish this down so it stays flat a little bit better. All right, let me bring in all my embellishments. This time I'm going to go with the Pretty Petal Pink embellishments. I think they're nice and soft for the evening evergreen, really pretty. And again, I'm going to put it right in the flower center. And then I'm going to pick one of the larger ones and just bring it up in here. And there's my happy birthday using the Lovely and Lasting. That's the final stepped up card. It's got some die cutting and some heat embossing, which makes it a little bit more of a stepped up card. Still really clean and simple though. So let's see, we bring in all of our cards from tonight. We have the stack and shuffle technique, and we have our simple stamping card. Oops. And let's see if I can find my stamp set and share with you the other images that I didn't even touch. So there's this pretty border, this tile border that I didn't use. We've got a cheers, which I love, that greeting. We have a best of luck, a thinking of you, and then we have some little elements. I did use a little posy, but we have some little swirly elements. There's some more leaves that we could add in place, a little spray of leaves and a spray of flowers as well. So it's a cute little set. Again, with the coordinating paper, coordinating embossing folder, makes it a nice suite to make a variety of all occasion cards. And if you would like the materials to make your cards, all you need to do is place a $35 order by Monday, and I will send you the kit to make 2 of each card, just as you see. Everything's cut, scored, prepped, ready for you to go. The only thing that's not included, of course, are stamped images. You will need the stamp set and the punch, but everything else is included for you. All right, thank you. All right. You'll see Pam says she thought the paper was too busy. I think there's a great variety of patterns in this paper pack. And again, I like the old world folksy patterns. It's kind of a traditional scheme. It looks really Dutch to me for some reason, but I think with the pretty colors and the tone on tone, it kind of softens it up so it's not so busy. And what happens with a lot of the busy papers is when you turn them over, you've got a beautiful graphic too. Thank you. Actually, I would say, so Debbie says nice blue card. I would say my favorite to go was the simple card, the blue card, the tone on tone. It is simple stamping, no dies needed, no punches, just stamps, ink, and paper, and a couple embellishments. And it's really easy, quick and easy to go. The image itself is the focal point of the card, and I like that. It's really simple. And we could all use oh hello cards. You could swap out the happy birthday is there as well there, as you could on any of the cards. They make happy birthday, oh hello. Again, I love the cheer sentiment in the stamp set as well. All right, my friends, there you go. Yay, I did it in an hour. There's class in 1 hour. Thank you so much for joining me on this St. Patty's Day Eve. I hope you enjoy St. Patrick's Day tomorrow and you have a bit of the luck of the Irish as well. Have a wonderful weekend. I will see you next week again for a full class. It is the Rhino Ready class. Just another darling online exclusive only bundle. It's super cute. I hope you give it a look when you click online and go searching around to see what else is available that's not in a catalog. All right. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful weekend.